Jim thought he'd share a story with you he had shared with you before. At least I don't think I have. It's a story of how Jim got a employee manual changed. In Jim's younger days, I know you guys are going to find this hard to believe, Jim was a little bit of a rascal. And he worked at a grocery store. Now mind you, this was the 1990s. This was not the 1800s or anything. Required uniform at the store was a white shirt. In the winter, you had to wear a black bow tie. And in the summer, we got to just wear the white shirt, not the black bow tie. We were not open on Sundays. What Jim had always found funny about this was management there at the store said, we do things the way we do because that makes people come to us, makes people loyal to us because they like the way we do things. Well, the funny thing was when they would open their trunk for me to put their groceries in, there were sacks from about 3 other grocery stores within a block of us where they had got better deals on certain products. And I would walk over to a large chain store that was about 2 blocks away. And the employees there had holes in their jeans and had earrings, had other piercings and body modifications. And they seemed to do a pretty good business. Now, Jim decided at about this time in his life that he would like to get a mohawk. And funny thing is, when I went into get the mohawk, my barber kept asking me, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah, I'm sure." He said, "Have you checked with her yet?" I said, "There is no her to check with. I'm good on this." So Jim got his mohawk and he proceeded to work the next day. And sure enough, within about 2 hours of Jim being there, they called Jim to the store office. Told him he needed to go home. He couldn't have a mohawk. It didn't fit the, grooming standards or whatever. I forget what the term was. So Jim went back to the back, was loading his stuff up, getting ready to go home. And then before Jim could leave, they said, "Don't leave, stay here, work the rest of the day, we'll talk to you later." So it was about lunchtime. I noticed one of the people from the main office, not the store office, but the main office, came over, sat down, talked to the managers, and then they called me up to talk to me and asked what made me think I could get a mohawk. And I said, well, I looked through the employee manual and it said off the ears and above the collar. And it was certainly that. So they told me to work the rest of the day. Then about 2 hours later, the same person came back from main headquarters and informed Jim that he could either shave it the rest of the way off or he could wait, go on leave, and come back when it had grown back in. Jim didn't think about it at the time, but looking back, I figured there was some discussion with attorneys and lawyers to see exactly what they could do because, like Jim said, it was off the collar and above the ears. So, next day, early morning, Jim goes back to his barber. The barber said, "You want me to go ahead and take the stripe off the middle?" I said, "Yeah, I guess we better." I said, "I won't be able to pay you for haircuts if we don't." So we went ahead, fixed the haircut. I went back to work. Later that next day at work, about noontime, there was an announcement that there would be a company-wide meeting at the company office on a certain day, certain time, after all the stores had closed. So we all show up, certain time, certain day, at the company office. And they hand us all new employee handbooks. And they bring us to a certain page, a certain paragraph that has been edited to say that hair must be off the collar, above the ears, and no exotic haircuts. Now, again, Jim, being the rascal he is, raised his hand and said, "I have a question." I said, "I noticed some of the athletes that work for us carve their number into their head or their hair, or carve their initials into their hair." I said, "Is that wild and exotic?" Jim didn't get an answer, but he did notice that those people continued to have their jersey numbers and their initials carved into their head. So that was a short and brief story about how Jim once got an employee handbook edited.